Welcome back, everybody, to Clone Wars Commentary. My name is Cheyenne, and I am here with a guest today. Say hi, Grace.
Hello.
Yeah. But Grace was still kind enough to help me dive into the Clone Wars episodes, and we are actually finishing out Season 2. So with Season 2 episodes 20 through 22, all in one, because it kind of is its own arc in and of itself. So I'm hype. Are you hype?
I'm hype.
Nice. We're very, calm hype. We were both yeah.
I've done one Clone Wars commentary episode, and that was for Season 7.
Wow.
I don't even know if that counts as Clone Wars commentary. So
Yeah, it does. It does. Wow. I hadn't realized you hadn't been on before.
Mm-mm.
Nice.
I've been on the main show.
Well, welcome. So the way that it works, Grace, is I have my notes and you have yours, and we have our references on here, but I'll just kind of take us through the moments that stood out to me, and we'll talk maybe about some characters. I have those pulled up as well, for who I want to talk about, and then we just keep popping on into each episode. The first thing that we do for episode 20, we're going to talk about the quote at the beginning, the fortune cookie. And it says, "Who my father was matters less than my memory of him." And I love talking about the reference, the literal reference in Star Wars, and then also a figurative reference in real life. Yeah. For me, when I heard it, I couldn't really think of a figurative reference. So, the literal reference, "who my father was matters less than my memory of him," is literally Boba talking about Jango. Do you have any other thoughts on that?
Well, because when I saw it, it just, it made a lot of sense. One, for Boba and Jango. Mm-hmm. Another one for the fact that Jango is, literally the dad for all the clones.
Right.
And then also, I kind of thought about it in the context of, the whole Star Wars universe, is that there's Anakin and Luke, and then there's Han and Ben, and, there's a lot of dads.
That's such a good thought. I didn't even think of that. It didn't even fathom with me.
I always try to do that, because, it makes the most sense, at least for me, to try and tie it all together.
Yeah, that's what I get for having so many things on my mind right now. Is my brain is just no. So this one, I don't have too many notes on this one either, because it was the introduction to an arc, it tends to be less involved and very here's what happened, one after the other. So the first thing that I have written down is just in reference for our listeners. In this one, Boba Fett is known as Cadet 327 or Lucky. That's his cover for being on the Endurance, which is the ship that they're on. And Boba is there to trap and kill Mace Windu. That's just the whole thing, essence of this arc. And my first note is a sad face with that poor clone that got blown up.
Yeah.
I felt so bad. And I know that it's one of those it's a blip in time for Star Wars and just for Clone Wars in general. There's lots of loss of life with the clones and everything. But, that for me was just insane, because Mace was I'm just trying to take a nap, and then also I can't take a nap because Anakin's being annoying, so here, take this inside, walks away, doesn't die, and has to hold a dying clone in his arms.
Oh.
It's so sad. So it just...
Yeah.
I need everybody to be sad, too.
Whenever, a singular clone, dies, either, in the movies or in, the shows, I'm always, so sad. Mm-hmm. It's also a similar reaction I had because I rewatched Phantom Menace the other day, as I do, and there's a scene where, all of the starfighters are flying out of the hangar, and then one of them gets shot down. I always think about that one starfighter that gets shot every time.
God, it's so sad. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, really. So we kind of hear a lot of different, not terms, but references. So we know that they're talking about Vancor, which is a planet. They're aboard the Endurance, which is a ship. And then we also meet Admiral Killian. So lots of different names thrown around, but let's talk about Admiral Killian. His first name is Cheyenne. He is a male human admiral of the Galactic Republic during the Clone Wars, obviously. He was overseeing the actions of Clone Youth Brigade aboard the Venator-class Star Destroyer Endurance when it was sabotaged by young Boba Fett. That's really a summary of this whole episode. And then we'll get to his capture later. Spoiler alert. But he's got like a weird, like, Scottish-y, Irish-y, angry accent to him.
I noticed that.
Yeah, and then in this episode, he talks about, so because Boba has failed to kill Mace on his first trap, he goes to blow up the, like, central systems. And Admiral Killian is very good at staying calm. Like, he just, like, walks past this little brigade of clone boys and is like, we're gonna make a drill out of it. Like, I'll even time you guys. Like, good luck. Which is, to me, it's so cool to see the people that are training them or just, like, involved with them positively influencing them, you know?
Yeah.
It's not just, like, fight or die. It's like, here's, like, a fun little test. I'm not going to tell you that we're going down, but, like, good luck.
It's summer camp, fun little
activity. Yeah, it's fine. And it's just like, it speaks so much to like how some of these side characters are so much deeper than what we get to see. And then he also is going to go down with the ship. And Anakin and Mace are trying to convince him otherwise. And he says that he doesn't expect the Jedi to understand the sentiment of going down with your ship. Why do you think he feels that way?
Why do you think Killian feels like that?
Yeah.
That is history nerd moment here.
Bring it on.
That is very well known for a lot of people that I can't word right now.
It's okay.
People that are held in high regard, so like in the military and things of that aspect.
Yeah.
That will go down with their ship.
Right.
So I'm gonna put a little bit of history in here to give some context. So, for example, when the Titanic sank, the captain went down with the ship. In the World Wars, whenever submarines or crafts of any sort went down, captain went down with the ship, or some sort of officer. And it's like, that was like across all lines pretty much. It didn't matter whether you were like good or bad or whatever. People just did that because it was like an honorable death and like an honorable way to go down.
Yeah.
I don't know if it happens in other moments in canon besides maybe Holdo in the last movie.
I think Holdo. I think there might be one other moment in Clone Wars, but I can't recall right now.
Yeah, I can't think of who off the top of my head, but like it's a very common occurrence, at least not all in one season, but it does happen like multiple times. And also, if I remember correctly, I think it happens maybe once in Rebels too.
I think you're right about that for sure.
I don't remember exactly like what season or what episode or whatever, but I do remember I think it happening at least once. So it is a common occurrence.
Yeah, and it's interesting how he thinks that the Jedi wouldn't do that. But I do, when he said it, I was like, I mean, there's never been an instance where a Jedi's like, yeah, I'm going to go down with the ship. But they're not in charge of the ship.
Right.
Is that why?
I think, I guess. I don't know.
I don't either.
There have been instances where Jedi have been like, no, I'm going to stay back and save all these people.
Right.
Even though that means I'll die. So, I mean, I guess they do it, but like in a different context.
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair.
Like they do it due to their service and due to their duty or whatever. But they do it for a different purpose than why other officers or commanders would do it.
No, that's a good distinction between the two. Yeah. So the next three that we're going to talk about, and then I really only have like one other note after them, but we'll talk about Boba's little crew that he's formed. Real quick, do you know if that ship is the Slave One?
It is.
Okay, great. Wonderful. So the crew in the Slave One, which is technically Aurra Singh's crew, but also is Boba's crew. Aurra Singh, Bosk, and Castus. And Castus, I couldn't remember his name until they said it 25 times. So we'll just talk. I'm just going to give, like, very baseline information. We all know who Aura Singh is simply because of this and otherwise. She's a female Paladuvan bounty hunter. I really want Paladuvans to be featured in my fan film. I can't wait to figure out how to do that. But she was present on, she operated prior to and during the Clone Wars. She was present on Tatooine, where she watched the Boonta Eve Classic pod race. Didn't know that.
I saw her in Phantom Menace when I was watching it.
Oh, so I'm gonna have to go for her.
I saw her for like a split second. And I was like,
is she in the crowd?
Well, so she's like standing near Jabba at the very beginning, and then as Anakin's like going through the canyons or whatever, you see her for like a brief moment on top of like a plateau or something.
Wow, I can't wait to like rewatch that and find her. And then she's also there during the Trade Federation's invasion of the planet Naboo. Where is she there?
On Naboo?
Yeah.
She isn't on the planet.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
I think she was at one point, at least in canon, she was hired multiple times.
That's fair. Yeah.
To go assassinate Padme. She was first hired by the Trade Federation, and then the Trade Federation was like, nah, we don't need
Never
her,
mind.
because the whole invasion happened.
Yeah.
And then later in the Clone Wars, when the thing is involved with her and Ahsoka and Padme, during the one conference or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And then I think there was like one after that, but it wasn't disclosed in any episodes. I think it was disclosed either in a book or a comic, but I don't remember which ones.
Okay. She also has a built-in comlink antenna, which we also all just like know from visually, but I think that's such an interesting concept.
I didn't know it was built in. I thought somebody stuck it into her.
I don't know. I think she did it to herself. Maybe she didn't. I don't know. I feel like somewhere I heard that she did that to herself. I haven't found that in the wiki yet, but I'm sure it's in there. But she was an expert sniper and trained assassin. She would work for anybody who paid her. She also at one point was involved with Hondo, which we will see later in one of these episodes. Yes. She's worked with people like Vordelio and Cad Bane and Maul. So she has made her way in the universe.
Making my way downtown.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Bosk is also one of those that, like, you know, everybody knows him. Everybody knows who he is, what he looks like, etc. He's pretty iconic, honestly, just from one single scene in a movie, which is insane. But I do love seeing him in these because he's so spooky.
He's spooky.
He's not like a stupid Trandoshan like the ones in the other episodes. You know who I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. That, like, hunting episode where they, like, hunted down and Ahsoka met Chewbacca.
Yeah.
And all that. And I was just like, Bosk isn't like this. Why are you guys like this?
I'm confused. Fusion.
Yeah, I was concerned with how he made it out of there.
It's kind of like how Jar Jar is, like, significantly different from the Gungans.
Ooh, that's a good point.
I mean, this isn't a knock on Jar Jar. Personally, I think he's, like, a good character. He's got a bad rep.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about him.
That's fair.
But yeah, it's a very similar kind of deal, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. He's also the son of somebody named Kradosk. So, like, Bosk, Kradosk. Known for hunting Wookiees. During the Clone Wars, Bosk fought alongside Aura and Castus, blah, blah, blah. Also, I read on Aura's thing that Aura trained Boba somewhat, so that's interesting. Yeah. Do we know what she trained him on? Just, like, in general?
I don't know. I think she just, like, trained him in general.
Yeah, it didn't say anything specific.
No. Also, when you said Castus, I thought you said Kestis, and I got really confused.
Nope. I know.
Like, wait, what?
I know. It's interesting, too, how, like, sometimes when things pop up in the different parts of the universe, so, like, Cal was created so much later than this happened.
Yes.
And it's so weird how things can just sound the same, but be completely and utterly different.
There's 2 Jar Jar balls.
Oh my god, yeah!
There's 2 of them.
That's insane! That is insane! One is Cal's master. Who's the other one? Wasn't he also a Jedi?
I think the other one was also a Jedi, because I remember talking to Rebecca about that. She was really confused.
Yeah, I do remember that. And then our last member of this little crew is Castus. He's a male Klatooinian. And he's just kind of, like, there.
Yeah.
I don't really know.
Much.
Yeah, it doesn't even say that he's got any, like, special skills or anything, and then she kills him later. So, like, short-lived.
Oh, well.
Interesting, yeah. And, like, it's also funny to hear Aura talk about, like, how useless he is. And it's like, then why did you, like, bring him along?
Like, why is he here if he doesn't serve a purpose?
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, he seemed like he was so in it for the money. And it's like, well, if he's a coward and he's, like, not helpful and he's just, useless, what's the point? So, interesting concept to me. Mm-hmm. The last thing that I want to talk about, and then we can just ask for notes before we move on to 21, is when the crew, the little clone troopers, are left in their pod, and the Jedi find them, and they're like, okay, great, like, here's the coordinates, come rescue them. And the boys were, like, fighting in the pod before then, and Jax was just, like, keeping a calm head. He's the one with, like, the little hair right here, and keeping a calm head, and whoever, Whiplash, is, like, yelling at him. And I think that it's important to note, like, it's so cool to see the different personalities in the little clones, because we as the audience are taught to think that they, like, go through all this training to not develop that personality, and, like, here they have it, and then we see them as adults having personalities. And so, like, just in general, knowing that Jax is going to be such a good leader, he's so calm, and then in the end, Whiplash is like, well, who needs them? Like, whatever. And Jax is like, well, no, like, let's have hope that Boba is just like us, because then he'll know that he's doing stuff wrong. And it's like, you're so sweet, and you're a child.
Oh, baby.
I know.
I also really love, speaking of clones and like their personalities and stuff, I also really love how clones who weren't supposed to have personalities have personalities.
Yeah.
And then stormtroopers, at least up until the sequel trilogy, don't have
nothing.
Like, they can have personalities, but they don't.
Yeah.
That's just very interesting to me.
Yeah.
And I never, like, fully realized that until I had watched, like, the whole Clone Wars arc, but also, like, when I started watching the sequels, and I was like, wait, Finn was a stormtrooper. Wait, he has a personality. Yeah. And then when Rise of Skywalker came around, and I was like, wait, there's more of him.
Yeah. And it's so weird to think about the fact that, like, maybe they don't even, like, expend their, like, use their personalities as stormtroopers simply because they know that something bad could happen. Whereas the clones are literally going through something psychological that tries to shut it down. So then the body, like, resists that maybe, or just changes over time. You know? Because I feel like some clones don't until they're in a unit that lets them.
Right.
Too. Which is interesting. Mm-hmm. That's all I have for episode 20. Do you have anything else?
Yes, same.
All right. All of these are very, like, slim notes. I feel like the arc is cool because we get to see Boba as a kid. And I think Daniel Logan did voice him for this little arc. Yeah. Love him. He's a great guy.
I did have one little thing.
Yeah.
I thought it was very interesting how Boba tried to give himself the nickname Lucky, and how he ended up having green armor later on.
Yeah. It's so
very weird. Luck of the Irish / leprechaun vibe.
Also interesting that he chose the name Lucky.
Why, though?
I know.
That's the one thing that I was, like, confused about. I'm like, that's strange.
For the pod listeners that can't see it, I'm scratching my head. Yeah.
That's all I'm thinking.
True.
That's, like, the one direction.
Yeah, the only direct line.
Yes.
No, that's a good point. So, episode 21 is called R2 Come Home, which is sweet title. Yeah, the...
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because Gary leaves, and then R2 left.
That's so funny. Oh, man.
I don't know why I thought about
That's okay. SpongeBob is relevant at all times, no matter what.
It is relevant. Wait, I can save this. Clancy Brown, the guy that voiced Mr. Krabs, voices Savage Opress in the Clone Wars.
Oh. The listeners can't see my face, and I forget that. Y'all, my jaw just dropped. That's insane. Oh, I just hit myself in the eye with my pen. That's crazy.
You heard it here first. It's a Castle Run Weekly exclusive.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome.
That's the weirdest thing I've ever said.
That's the weirdest thing I've ever heard.
Oh my god.
What? Oh, yeah. I love this universe. I love it.
We're keeping that in. We're not taking it out.
Not for a second did I think about taking that out. Not even a little bit. So the quote for episode 21 is, "Adversity is a friendship's truest test." I couldn't read my own handwriting for a second.
Oh my god.
I mean, that just spans all across Star Wars. Just everywhere. It is. Obi-Wan and Anakin.
Yeah.
Anakin and Ahsoka.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of other people.
Yes.
Those are the only ones I care about.
To be honest, that's who everybody cares about.
That's fair. That's entirely
Nobody
fair.
else is relevant.
Yeah. And I feel like this one, too, is, like, specifically for this episode. So in this episode, a summary, Anakin needs R2 to go ask for help. He has to, like, go through all of these hoops to just get some help. And Mace doesn't trust R2. And then Anakin kind of starts to, like, look like he's like, oh my god, R2, can you do this, please? And so, like, adversity is friendship's truest test. Like, plain and simple right there on the board. Real world, also relevant. Self-explanatory and relevant, though. Like, I feel like I don't have to give any details, you know? Of course, adversity is the truest test of friendship.
Mm-hmm.
And end of story.
This episode is very strong with droid protect squad kind of vibes.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And, like, because as everybody in the Castle Run Weekly vibe area knows, I love droids a lot. Yeah. So, like, watching this episode and the fact that Mace doesn't like R2 and then Anakin's like, dude, can you just do this for me? Is like, how dare Mace not trust R2? Mm-hmm. After everything R2 has done for not only Anakin and Obi-Wan, but just, like, the Jedi.
For everyone,
when he's been around.
Yeah.
Mace better respect my sweet droid boy.
Yes.
Or I will have some choice words.
Yeah. R2's an angel.
That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, R2's an angel, and anybody that disagrees is wrong. I also just, like, love R2 adventures because in the beginning, so Mace and Anakin are walking with their droids, R8. R8 is purple and gold, which I just love. I love that because I love that Mace is surrounded by purple and gold things.
Lakers colors, too.
Yeah, it's awesome. So in the beginning, they're talking about it, and Mace is like, you put too much faith, or you encouraged the droid too much. And Anakin's like, yeah, whatever, like, brushes it off, you know? And it's just so interesting how, as much as I hate to say this, like, Mace is a good Jedi in the aspect that he listens to the rules and, like, digests the mantras of it all, you know? Like, not that, like, I love that R2 is unique and special, but, like, what's the word I'm looking for? The difference between Anakin and Mace is, like, uncanny. Which I know that's the point, but I literally just love that. And then, Anakin, like, stands up for R2 in that moment, but is also just like, whatever, like, I know everybody thinks my relationship with my droid is weird, but he's also saved my life more times than anybody else, so.
Yeah, he's saved a bunch of peeps. He deserves the medal.
Exactly. And then R2 starts to, like, feel Gundarks moving around in the background. Gundarks seem to be a common issue that Anakin faces. I feel like this is, like, the third or fourth episode in Clone Wars where he faces Gundarks, but he doesn't actually have to fight any of them, in this one at least. And they are on the search for Killian, and they send off R8 and R2, and eventually we find out, I'm kind of skipping ahead, but just so that I go with my notes, eventually we find out that Killian, Pons, and somebody else are hostages, taken as hostages. So hold on to that. I was trying to make sure. I was like reading things that I already said, and I was like, Ari does die via Gundark, which is so sad.
I felt so bad, and like, cause, like I said, I love the droids in Star Wars. Mm-hmm. Unless they're separatist droids,
fair.
Then I don't like them. They're terrible. But astromechs, especially, do not deserve the treatment that they get from people.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. Oh, I got very close to my mic. I'm sorry.
Gundarks is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah, and like it's so sad because R2 tried to help and he like poked him a ton of times. Oh, that was it was cute. It was awesome.
Until you let my friend go.
Yeah.
And then, didn't. R2 was like super sad.
Yeah. There was a lot of droid activity in these, which is awesome too. I just love that. I love seeing them be a part of it, not just be like an information hub, which I think is cool because like I have a tendency to forget that like Star Wars is more than just like the characters that can talk. You know, like the ships have personality sometimes. The droids, etc. The animals, it's cool, huh?
Magic school bus of Star Wars.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So the one I wanted to talk about for this one, the like random character, is Commander Pons. So I'm gonna pull that up really quick. Commander Pons is a clone. Oh, okay. His number is CC6454. And he's actually the first one to get executed in episode 22. He's a clone trooper commander in the Grand Army of the Republic, assigned to the High Jedi General Mace Windu at the First Battle of Geonosis. Okay, so Pons and Windu have a relationship. Pons earned his general's trust as the commander of Lightning Squadron, in the 91st Reconnaissance Corps. What was that?
My sister was calling.
I was like, oh, because I didn't have the video up, so I couldn't even see.
Oh my god. Hold on.
So Commander Pons, I know kind of just basic information. And then, and 22 years before the Battle of Yavin, Amir Wat Tambor of the Techno Union invaded Ryloth, and Pons assisted Windu in invading the planet to secure its liberation. So Pons has been around for a lot. There's more information than that, but I'm not going to read all of that. You guys can go to the Wikipedia page if you want. I literally was going to be like, he was born on Camino, as if the rest of them were not. I'm an idiot. It's fine. So Commander Pons, just like quick info. I just love learning more about them, especially when I hear their names for the first time. I feel like the first 2 times I watched Clone Wars, I didn't pay attention to any of them, and it's like that they're kind of the whole point of this, you know? At one point, so all of this is kind of happening, R2's making his way downtown, walking fast. Anakin calls Windu Mace at one point. He like screams, "Mace, over here!" And I was just taken aback.
Yeah, he doesn't do that a lot.
No.
But like, okay, so that's like one thing I've noticed about Anakin. Mm-hmm. Like, not even just season 2, but like, this is a bit of a spoiler. He uses people's first names quite, like, more frequently than Obi-Wan and, like, the rest of the Jedi.
Yeah.
I've noticed that a lot. Like, Obi-Wan does it, but, like, not nearly as much as Anakin.
Yeah. And it's just so strange to me. You know?
Yeah.
Like, they don't do that. And then even literally what you just said, like, Mace literally calls him Skywalker.
It's like, what is this weird dynamic?
Yeah.
I don't get
and, like, you guys don't get along. Like, you just don't. And it's weird. Okay, so here's another thought that I just had right now at this moment.
I have to pause again real fast.
Huh?
I have to pause again real fast.
Okay.
Because
yeah. Perfect. So we were talking about how, like, Anakin calls him Mace, which is just weird. And then we also see, so after they discover that some of the troopers have been killed, not, like, died in the crash, Anakin sees the helmet, Jango's helmet, and he's like, a Mandalorian helmet? What the heck is that doing here? And it's so interesting that Anakin's brain didn't... neither of them, really. Like, Mace kind of got it. He started to, and then he warned Anakin, like, right before the explosion happened. But even later, when Mace, like, force pulls the helmet over to him, it, like, all started coming together. Yeah. And I feel like this wasn't that long after the Battle of Geonosis, right? Like, shouldn't that be fresh on their minds?
I don't know, because...
I don't either.
Like, the end of Attack of the Clones was, like, for sure the beginning of the Clone Wars, but, like, we don't know, for example, how long the gap is between Episode 2 and the Clone Wars movie, and then from the movie...
to this. That's true.
To the Episode 1. So, like, or Episode 1 of the first season.
Right, yeah. No, that's a good point.
Yeah, so, like, we don't know really how much time passed, but wouldn't they know that beforehand? Because, like, Obi-Wan goes to Kamino. To Jango.
Yeah, they literally talk about that.
Yeah, and he says, like, oh, you have Mandalorian armor? Yeah. Wouldn't he have said something to the council? I
think it's in his report. It's like, Anakin says something about it later, and he's like, oh yeah, that was in the report that Obi-Wan did on Kamino. And it's like, okay, so you guys just, like, forgot everything until now?
Yeah, it's like, I mean, context clues. Reading comprehension.
Yeah. Literally us in the Star Wars universe, they're, like, figuring something out, and we're like, context clues. Remember the other movie? And they're like, what are you guys talking about?
Yes. That's it. I have a perfect thing for this. It's a GIF that says there was an attempt. But it's like, the more you know.
I love that, yeah. Yeah, the more you know. I would love that, like,
That's basically what it is. Like, yeah. They need context clues. They need reading Rainbow in Space.
Yeah, honestly.
To understand their part.
So then R2 has to go get help, and he sees the bounty hunters and realizes what's happening. So instead of, like, going directly to get help because he knows that's not going to work, he starts, like, trapping the bounty hunters and, like, causing chaos amongst the ship. And he laughs, and it's so cute.
I love him. I love R2 so much.
Yeah, he's an angel. Every time people ask, like, who's your favorite droid, I'm like, R2. I love so many of them. Like, I want to hold Dio near and dear to me. He wouldn't let that happen. Yeah, I love all of them so much.
Yeah, and it's, like, same. And, I mean, I know as of late I've been yelling about BD-1 more than I've been yelling about, like, other droids. Yeah. But, like, BD-1 is the same way. It's like, I would protect him and R2
at all costs.
With my life.
Yeah, there's no getting around that. They must be protected no matter what.
Protect.
You reminded me I needed to post a poll on the Facebook group today.
Yes. Which droid will you protect more? BD-1 or R2?
That's such a hard question.
Neither.
I can't put that on there.
They would protect each other.
That's true. That's so true. They'd be like, get out of here. We got this. We can handle it. So then he kind of, like, pushes them off, and then he makes them think that they're leaving, so he gets to the ship, the Jedi fighters, and fights a Gundark, which is just hilarious in and of itself. I love that. I don't know if you would call that that's not necessarily slapstick comedy, but, like, kinda. Yeah? Like, it seems it is.
In my opinion,
in Star Wars.
It would.
Yeah.
But it is kind of, like, in a different way than, like, what we would normally define as slapstick.
Yeah.
Because, like, slapstick involves humans.
That's true.
This is, like, a droid and a monster.
Yeah.
In an animated show that takes place in space.
Yeah,
so,
it's
like,
an interesting context.
Yeah. And also, like, that's not really one of the only examples. There's a lot of different examples of it, but that is, like, a really good one.
True. And then he, like, evades the bounty hunters. They think that it's Mace leaving, but it's R2, and then he gets into the hyperspace ring, tricks Boba, amazing. And then he literally, like, is screaming down the hallways, running over other droids, fighting with a droid when he falls into Plo and Ahsoka's meeting.
That's relatable.
I love him. I cannot stress this enough. R2 is the best droid ever.
Yes. That's basically, like, if we had to sum up this episode, like, yeah, if we had to sum up this episode in one sentence, it's R2 is the best droid. Yes. Protect him with your life.
Protect at all costs. Yeah.
Yes.
Falls literally down the stairs into the meeting with Plo and Ahsoka. And it's so funny to think about this, too. Like, we are obviously taking it in as Star Wars fans, so we find that funny. But it's like, people that have never seen that before maybe are just like, why is this droid so chaotic? But then if you put him in the context of, like, imagine, like, a Padawan running down the hallway and being like, oh my god, I gotta help my masters. I gotta get somebody to help. Falls down the stairs and goes, you guys have to help me. It's the same thing, but via a droid. And I love that. I love the relation. Yeah, absolutely. Oh my god.
Yeah.
For sure. Without a doubt. Ahsoka would do that. Without falling, probably. Maybe.
She would, like, do some sort of, like, back hands.
Yeah. She would feel herself falling and, like, flip out of it and, like, land and, like, Spider-Man crouch.
Yeah. Yeah, she'd be like...
Yeah. Oh my god. So, they're all like, R2, you're insane. And Ahsoka's like, no, I know this droid. He's fine. And Plo is always ready. He's always ready to go. And he's like, all right, well, they're in distress. Let's go.
Gotta love Plo Koon.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He's one of my favorites, probably besides, like, Depa Billaba.
Yeah.
Depa Billaba, excuse me.
Billaba, yeah.
Because she was in the Queen's Shadow book, and it was very good.
Ooh. I love that. I love learning more about the other masters.
Yeah, dude. But yeah, she's one of my favorites. I love Shakti. I love Ahsoka. Love Plo Koon.
I'm creating the poll. And I'm doing, would you rather be trained by Plo Koon, Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ahsoka Tano? Who's my fifth one? I'm only going to put
Cal Kestis.
Cal Kestis.
Because he's an idiot. We will love him.
Could you imagine? Oh, man. Okay, posting that right now.
Kian could imagine it.
Huh?
I'm sure Kian could imagine it.
Oh, my God. I hope Kian puts Cal Kestis. All right. I don't know who I'd want to be trained by. Probably Ahsoka.
I'd want to be trained by Cal just so I could, like, mess with him.
Yeah. I'd be a really good Jedi if I was trained by Plo.
Did you pause this by chance?
Huh?
Did you pause this?
No. We're just going to leave it in. I'm leaving it in. We are authentic here at Kessel Run Weekly.
Yes.
Authentic, real-time experience.
Yes, we're talking about a poll that we're going to post later. And who would
you be trained by? So go answer that. If you're listening right now, there's a Facebook group called the Kessel Crew, or Kessel Crew. KRW is in parentheses. Go join the Facebook group.
Please. Join our Discord as well.
Please and thank you. That too. And then go answer my polls. I do polls every day, usually.
That's where the Droid Protect Squad came from. That came from...
Discord?
That came from Discord.
That's
I can't add that to the Kessel Crew, otherwise I would.
Yeah, that's so funny. Where were we? We were talking about
talking about how always Plo Koon's great.
Yeah, he's awesome. I don't know much about him, but also Plo Cool on Instagram. He has helped me learn more about Plo than I ever thought I would need to do.
He's a cool dude.
Yeah, he's awesome. And then we also learn, so in this instance, so Plo and Ahsoka go and rescue them, and it's awesome, and the clones are like Agile, and Wolf and Comet jump out of the thing to rescue them. Yes. And it seems like before they arrive, this is when Mace had like pulled the helmet to him, and it seems like with him talking to Anakin that he has remorse for what he did to Jango.
Yeah. Which
I feel like is an obvious thing because like Jedi don't want to kill people.
No.
But it's something that like you don't think about because it happens so fast and they move on, right. You know?
I also kind of thought about that. I was like, if Jedi do kill people, because, like, it happens, do they feel remorseful about it?
Right. Or do they just forget about it?
Yeah, because, like, I'm sure it's not the first instance in which that has happened with Mace. I mean, and again, like, I don't mean this as, like, being rude to Mace Windu or anything. He's a cool character. But, like, I'm sure he's not the only character that's had to deal with that and, like, have remorse as a result. But I don't think it really set in on him. Like, the fact that he was holding the helmet after he had killed Jango, like, so long ago.
Yeah.
My thought is maybe because, like, he didn't see the helmet when he killed him, but then actually, like, physically holding it after his death and being like, how did this get here when it was on Geonosis?
True. Ooh, yeah.
That's kind of, like, what my thought process was.
Oh, because, that's so smart.
There was a very similar type of thing. I think it was in the Revenge of the Sith novelization with, like, the Sith statues and stuff that are in Palpatine's, like, office and apartment and things like that. Because I think there is a moment, again, in the novelization, not in the comics, not in the movie, where, like, somebody from, like, the Jedi Council or, like, one of the Jedi that goes after Palpatine or whatever recognizes that as, like, a Sith relic.
Oh.
And then it sets in. So, like, it's a very similar kind of idea, just in different context.
Yeah, it's interesting, too, to not, like, the fact that I didn't even think about that. Like, it's like, of course they shove it down, or they, like, know that they have been remorseful, and then until they see it again or experience it again, that it's not really relevant to them until it happens. Which is real world, too, you know?
Yeah.
We love Star Wars. In the real world.
Parallels.
We love a parallel. So then they all get rescued, and they're on these stretchers, which happens to Anakin a lot in this series. And then Mace thanks R2. And I got emotional.
That little droid of metal. Yeah. He deserved it. I'm so, like... That's
like a magnetic one.
Besides... Yes. Besides Chewie never getting a medal. R2 never gets a medal.
Yeah. Rude.
He is awarded something one time.
When?
At the end of the Battle of Naboo, is recognized by the Royal Security Forces.
That's so cool.
And then...
I don't remember that.
Because it happens kind of, like, off-canon. Like, it happens in canon, but, like, it happens outside of the movies, outside of the books and stuff.
Yes.
It's just, like, a brief mention. But yeah, he's only recognized, like, once ever. And that's, like, really sad.
Yeah.
Because, like,
he deserves to be the master of the Jedi Council.
Yes. Even after that point, like, R2 just deserves the world.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
He deserves to be Chancellor of the Senate.
Yeah. Wow. What a world we would live in if R2 was Supreme Chancellor.
Oh my god, that would be amazing.
Could you imagine? Oh, never a problem, ever. Huh?
He would do a good job.
He would be great.
Unless he accidentally unleashed chaos, then it would be a problem.
True. Or if, like, imagine, like, R2 is Supreme Chancellor and L3 is, like, who's the big blue guy? L3 is his version of that, and L3 is just, like, Droid Revolution in his ear, and he's just like, excuse me. That's really it for episode 21. So the last one, episode 22, is not only going to close out this arc, but also season 2. It is called Lethal Trackdown, and the fortune cookie is Revenge is a Confession of Pain.
Whoa.
Oof.
I like that one.
Yeah. Me too.
I mean, for as dark as it is, because, like, there are some pretty dark ones in the Clone Wars, but, like, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
and it's so relevant to Anakin and the conversation that he and Mace have in this, and real world, and it's like, if you are wanting revenge, you're holding on to the pain that caused whatever is causing you to want revenge. That was a very circular way to say that, but
that also makes a lot of sense, like, just across Star Wars as a whole. Because, like, there's a lot of talk about, like, revenge and how you deal with pain and how you deal with, and, like, oh, you can't enact revenge. It's not the Jedi way. And, like, just, like, so much happens. Because, like, I'm going to use one of your faves as an example of this. Darth Maul is the embodiment of that. Yes! I forgot you had that.
I just got it in the mail.
If you guys can't see this, because this isn't a video podcast, Cheyenne just pulled out a Darth Maul figure.
Yeah, he's from 1999. He's a Hasbro figure.
He's the same age as me. Holy heck.
He's supposed to talk, but I haven't replaced his batteries yet. He's awesome.
That's interesting. Wow.
Yeah, he's dope.
But yeah, Darth Maul is a very good embodiment of that. But also, the quote fits very well with Boba.
Yeah.
Because, like, the entire reason why he's doing all of this stuff is simply because of revenge.
Yeah.
Because he, again, like, he feels pain after losing his dad and everything, and, like, even though it wasn't his dad, it was his clone, whatever, it still makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because even though in canon that was, like, a very short-lived type thing, it still hurt, because, like, that's all Boba knew at that point. You know?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, it's, even though this is Boba's story, or a part of Boba's story, it's relevant too. They always love bringing it back to Anakin and his life. And so I'll go chronologically instead of jumping ahead. So we see Boba and Aura make the holo call and are like, we're going to kill them if you don't get here. And then they kill Pons. And there's like a section where Aura's like talking to the clones and is going to beat them up, and her fingers are like right up close to the camera, and I went, ugh.
It was, I don't
out loud.
That's the thing about animation that has always bothered me, is, well, because most of the Clone Wars, when it was animated, here's my nerd moment, most of the Clone Wars, when it was animated, didn't use any sort of, like, tracking or motion capture until Season 7, because they didn't have the technology at the time.
Right, yeah.
It existed, but it wasn't used in that format.
Right.
So, when it comes to animating, like, hands and, like, mouths, especially, sometimes it gets a little weird. And I felt the exact same way when, like, Aura was, like, doing whatever with her hands. But, like, this looks weird. I don't like it.
They looked like skeleton.
Yeah, and then I kind of felt the same way, like, when I was rewatching the Night Sisters arcs. When, like, Mother Talzin was involved. Yeah. Because, like, her hands are weird. Yeah. Like, they're real weird. Just the way that people move their hands against things in the Clone Wars is just weird.
Yeah, it's not good.
Especially if you're, like, touching another person. Yeah, I don't know. This is a weird tangent. But,
that's fine. Yeah. We love weird tangents here.
Hands are weird.
Yeah, hands are weird. Aura's fingers are gross, and I literally was like, ugh, and then I moved on. Yeah. So then we flash to Anakin and Mace are both recovering. Mace is, like, chilling. Anakin's like, all right, what's next? Big Anakin energy. And Anakin's talking about revenge. He's just like, well, don't you want to, like, go get him? Like, he's just out there running free. Like, we can bring him to justice or whatever. And Mace is just like, whatever. And earlier in one of the episodes, Aura had referenced that Jedi don't hold a grudge. They can simply be motivated. And then, boom, holo call where they kill Pons. So it's a previous reference leading to full circle of he probably isn't going to care, but we have hostages, so now he'll care. And she proves her point. She is correct. And Anakin talks about revenge in this, and it's interesting to think about how Anakin and Mace had this conversation. And Mace recognizes these things in Anakin, or, like, dislikes these things in Anakin and doesn't talk to him about them in real time. And then suddenly, when Anakin comes to him in Revenge of the Sith and is like, I think it's Palpatine, and then Mace is like, okay, I'm going to go check it out. Instead of believing Anakin and having him on the team, he pushes Anakin aside. And I'm going on a tangent myself, because it's just like, you've seen these characteristics in Anakin, and you've built up this distrust of him, or, like, you've noticed that, like, he wants to talk about revenge in an instance where revenge isn't necessary. And then instead of talking to him later and being like, hey, maybe rethink that, you wait until the last second, and then you die. Well, you fall out of a window. We don't know if you're dead, but...
It's the best way I can kind of explain this is with a quote. I don't remember who said it. It's not a Clone Wars quote. Mm-hmm. But it's like the idea of where, like, an eye for an eye and the world goes blind. Mm-hmm. And that's also, like, a really big thing in Star Wars that people don't really take into account, is when the actions of one person ricochet and, like, make a domino effect against so many other characters in so many other situations.
Yeah.
And that's always been, like, a huge thing, both for Anakin and I feel like for Mace as well.
Yeah.
Because Mace, even, like, from his first introduction in The Phantom Menace, he's always had a distrust, not only toward Anakin, but he sort of distrusted, like, Qui-Gon to an extent.
Yeah, for sure.
And then because he distrusted Qui-Gon and Anakin, he also sort of had, like, this barrier between himself and Obi-Wan.
Yeah, without a doubt.
At least from what I noticed.
No, yeah, and, without a doubt. I think you're right.
And it's kind of weird to see how the Jedi Council, because they all have to work together in, like, this high-stakes environment, it doesn't make sense to me how you can have so much distrust for so many members of your collective and be able to work properly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, and I didn't really, like, recognize that or, like, fully realize that until I was watching these episodes, because I was like, wow. Like, I didn't realize how much Mace distrusted people. I thought that it was just, like, a brief, like, distrust because he was like, oh, Qui-Gon, you're not being rational or whatever. Mm-hmm. But now actually, like, seeing him in action.
Yeah.
And, like, doing this stuff, it really kind of, like, connects dots when it comes to, like, how the Jedi Council was falling apart. It wasn't just, like, all of a sudden. It had been happening for a really long time, but it just took, like, one event to trigger it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was, like you said, domino effect. Like, it was just this build-up, and then one domino falls, and here we go.
Exactly.
It's interesting that we don't have a Mace origin story, right?
No. I think he was in a comic, maybe.
As a kid?
I don't think as a kid, but I think, like, right after he became a Jedi Knight.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
You might have an article on Wikipedia or something like that.
Probably, yeah. I probably could just Google it. So they kill Pons, and they go to this planet called Florum. So that's going to be our little Google moment for this episode.
That sounds like too close to Valorum.
Yeah. I thought originally they said Florn, and I was like, what? I
thought that you said fluoride for a second. I was like, wait,
nope.
What?
That's so funny.
Yeah.
So Florum is like, you get welcomed by Hondo? I don't really know what that means for their government, or if they have one, but they are headquartered on Florum, so he is who greets you when you get there. And Florum itself is a sulfurous desert planet located in the Florum system within the Surtar sector of the galaxy's outer rim territories. Location of Hondo's gang, briefly held by the Separatists before the forces of General Grievous were repelled by Onaka's forces and the Jedi. Yeah. Confederacy of Independent Systems. Is that the Separatists?
That is the Separatists.
Okay, yes. Great. I just wanted to make sure I worded that correctly instead of having to say Confederacy of Independent Systems 25 times. Yes. So they make it there, and by they I mean Aura's group arrives first, and super gross moment between Hondo and Aura. Ew. Disgusting.
Disgusting.
Yeah, we don't have time for that right now.
Not children.
Hondo apparently was friends with Jango, which is also interesting. Would love to know more about that. And it's like he speaks highly of him. It's not just like, oh yeah, I knew your dad.
Hondo is friends with everybody, I feel like.
Yeah, and that's such an interesting thing too.
You kind of have to be friends with everybody.
Especially when you're a pirate.
Exactly, yeah. You have to be friends with everybody in order to do stuff.
Do what he does. So, and then this was a very small moment, but I wanted to ask you. So, Hondo orders 2 drinks and they hand them to him, and Boba goes for the drink, and Aura was just like, no. And I don't know if that was just a highlight of Aura's abusiveness towards Boba, or if there was a reason for that. What do you think it was just her being abusive?
I don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't really think of the moment. I mean...
That's what I'm saying. It's so small. It just, happens.
Canon, do they have a drinking age?
I don't know. I don't know.
That's all I'm thinking about.
What's the truth?
I did a little bit of research, and Boba, as well as the rest of the clones, chronologically are 6 years old. At the time.
No way.
Yes.
No way. Do 6-year-olds form full thoughts like that?
Well, no. It's because the clones have a gene mutation
you're right.
or whatever to grow rapidly. Oh. So they have the body of a 12 or a 13-year-old, but they're 6.
That's so weird. I hate it.
It's I don't understand it.
Yeah. Ooh.
Was Boba trying to be underage drinking?
Yes, absolutely. Of course he was.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind.
He needs a space dare program.
Yeah, really. So that happens, and then Aura kills Castus. I mean, it happens so fast, and then Hondo's like, somebody clean him up. He sprung a leak. God. That was so weird. And then Aura, Plo and Ahsoka get there, right? They get to Florum.
Yeah.
After going through tons of areas, and we get to see Ahsoka kind of have a moment of clarity with her Jedi powers and listening properly. But right here I have Aura in an explosion. Where did the explosion happen? I don't even remember.
I don't remember either, but that's because I don't really pay attention to explosions when they happen.
You should listen to an episode of Blast Points podcast. They have one called Explosions, Explosions, Explosions. It's awesome.
I will listen to that episode.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
Or we could be like the YouTuber Wheezy Waiter and have Explosion Wednesday.
Explosion Wednesday.
Where we just talk about different explosions in Star Wars.
That would be awesome. She doesn't die in that. No. But we don't know that in this episode. We only know that because of Solo.
Yeah.
So, what happened?
Wait, I don't remember her in Solo.
She's not in it, but, what's his name? Woody Harrelson. What's his name? Beckett.
Yeah.
Says somebody says something, and he's like, Aura Singh died in a fall. Or you're the one that killed Aura Singh, and he's like, no, she died from falling. I'm just the one that pushed her.
Yeah.
And I'm just when did that happen?
Because, she doesn't die also because there was stuff that happened with her in the 4th or 5th season.
Yeah.
Because that's when Ahsoka goes with Padme and Typho to that conference.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that whole thing happens.
Yeah.
I think that was in season 4 or 5.
I think you're right. How do you think she survived? What do you think happened?
Magic.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Magic, Star Wars.
She's probably just, like, ejected or something. She was in a ship.
The girl with the gun always lives. Did she even have a gun? I don't remember.
Yeah, she always has a gun. You got a point there.
Yeah, the girl with the gun always lives.
Yeah. And then Boba's in custody, and he's all angry at Mace, and Mace is like, whatever, kid. We gotcha.
Emo.
Yeah.
Listen to your face, My Chemical Romance.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. It's fine.
We got him.
Yeah, and that's it. That's how the little arc ends, and that's how season 2 ends. So it's not necessarily, like, ceremonial, but it's good. No. Finally, moving on to season 3, I feel like I've been in season 2 forever for Clone Wars commentary, so sorry to my listeners, but, you know, here we go. They got season 7 early, so.
Basically what we've learned, girl with the gun always lives.
Yes.
Protect R2 with your life.
Yes.
Revenge is always a thing that happens everywhere. Yes. Boba is really emo.
Yes.
And I'm sorry for Boba. He needs space therapy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Space.
Yeah. And R2 should be the Supreme Chancellor of the Senate.
Yes. With L3 gladly by his side.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Grace, for being here. Thank you to my listeners for listening to us talk about that little arc. We will be moving on to season 3. I think our 200th episode of Kessel Run Weekly is coming up soon.
Really?
So, yeah. So I don't know what we're doing with that yet, but we will get back to you soon. So please keep an eye on our social media. Grace, tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me as a moderator and an administrator. I can't speak. On the Kessel Run Weekly's Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Kessel Run Weekly. You can find us in our Discord channel, where I'm there as well. And then I am Amidala716 on Instagram and Twitter, as well as TikTok. But I don't post a lot of TikToks.
That's okay.
I have like 3.
Yeah.
That's it. Though. Yeah.
That's all right. Getting there.
Where I just stream about droids, Padme, and lately Night Sister Marin, because I have her as well. She's very cool. But
yeah.
Yeah.
Building it up.
I also do book reviews occasionally. I'm working on revamping it on the Kessel Run Weekly website.
Yeah, so keep an eye out for that. You can follow me personally at CJerica on Instagram or CJerica95 on Twitter. Currently during the Black Lives Matter movement, I will be going live on my Facebook, so you can find me on Facebook under Cheyenne Hoover, if you do so choose. And I do, like, periodic lives just about resources, education, things that I've learned in general that will help me be a better ally to the movement. So if you're interested in doing that, please feel free to do so. The main page can be followed at Kessel Run Weekly on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, as well as, like I said earlier, joining our Facebook group called Kessel Crew, or just liking the Facebook page. Keep an eye out for those Twitch streams that Grace moderates and does such a great job in. Danny usually posts his schedule on Mondays for the full week, so it does change weekly, and so do the games as well. I think that's it. Keep an eye.
In the future, be doing more live podcast recordings on Twitch as well.
Yeah.
So you can tune in and join those.
Yeah.
They also are posted later after the stream.
Yeah, not audio will be available.
After. Yeah, not directly after, but like usually a couple days, a week after. So you can catch those as well if you don't necessarily catch the stream.
Yeah, and then like I said, so the best way to keep up to date with that is following us on our social media and keep an eye out for that 200th episode. Thank you all for listening to Clone Wars Commentary. We'll see you next time, and may the Force be with you.
Always.